Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you and I'm so glad you clicked on today's video. We are doing a May wrap up. I have all of the books that I read in May right in front of me. I read 10 books this month, which I'm actually pretty impressed with. I'm very happy to say that I did that. I did read quite a bit of fantasy, quite a bit of thrillers, a literary fiction, and Woody, don't do that. Starting out strong. Hold on. Hey. Sorry. And then I had one romance that I read and I DNF'd 2 books. Let's just go ahead, jump straight into this video. First, we're going to start with the 2 DNFs of the month. One of them I DNF'd at page 17, so I didn't get too far in, but I DNF'd Never by Jessa Hastings. If you watched My Husband Picks My May TBR, this was one of the books that I picked, and I read literally 17 pages and decided it was just not for me. I love the Magnolia Parks universe, but this definitely gave different vibes, kind of more darker, possessive type of vibes that I just wasn't here for. So I DNF'd this book. I really did want to like it, but it just wasn't for me. So unfortunately, and what made me DNF it at page 17 was actually Peter Pan. Did not like the things he was saying, not a fan of it, didn't really enjoy the writing of it, which is weird because I love Jessa Hastings' writing. I think her writing is very lyrical and beautiful, but this was just not it for me. And then I DNF'd, this one's kind of sad, I DNF'd The Rulebook by Sarah Adams. I got to page 200 of this, so I did put in the work, but it just wasn't hitting for me, and I normally love Sarah Adams. Like, everything else that I've read by her, I've truly really enjoyed. This one just wasn't for me. It follows Nora and Derek. Derek is an NFL player and Nora is a sports agent. This is a second chance romance, but I just found the 2 main characters to be pretty immature and not 2 characters that I really enjoyed. I was really annoyed by them and their actions, and I just couldn't see myself liking them. I wasn't rooting for their relationship at all. They were just really annoying to me, honestly, which is so strange, but that just was my experience. I didn't like this, but a lot of people are really enjoying this. I think maybe it just wasn't the right month for me to read this. However, I am not going to pick it back up. I really just did not like Nora, and Derek was just kind of there. I don't know. It was an interesting dynamic between the 2 that I just wasn't there for. So this was a DNF. And now let's get into the books that I actually did read and that I pretty much enjoyed. I had a lot of 3 stars, had a couple 5 stars, and had there were some average reads, but nonetheless, I read 10 books this month. Very happy about it, and all of them were actually on my physical TBR. That's really good. But we started out the month with Family by Lori Frankel, and this was actually really fun. It was my book club pick with my cousins, and I genuinely had a good time reading this. I honestly don't quite remember too much about it. I know this follows an actress, and she gets pregnant in high school, and it basically is following her life, but also following a different point of view at different points of this book, and it gives a then and now timeline. I don't want to say too much about it, because it really is a character-driven story. This is a contemporary fiction. There's a little bit of romance, but with different aspects of her life, and there's a lot of family, obviously, family. And it really just follows her pregnancy, her mindset, growing up, after a pregnancy and trying to find yourself. So this was fun to read. I gave it a 3 stars, I think. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think that it is something that stood out to me. But I do think that a lot of people could like this potentially. There was a lot of topics in here that were pretty good. This was fun. And then I read Powerful by Lauren Roberts, which is the little novella in the Powerless series. And this, oh my god, was so good. I'm not going to say too much about this because it follows a character that you meet in Powerless. And I don't want to spoil anything about this. Obviously, it's a little short book, so there isn't much that I can say about this book without spoiling it, but just know it follows the most amazing love story, and I absolutely fell in love with these characters, and oh my god, the only reason this wasn't a 5-star was specifically because I needed it to be longer. I needed more time with the characters. I did rate this a 4.75, which is very high for such a short book, but oh my gosh, I loved this story. I loved these characters. It was done so well, and I am really excited. I think Reckless comes out this month, honestly, or maybe next month, I don't know. But this was so fun. Highly recommend picking up Powerless literally just to get to this one. I think I read all of these books in a reading vlog. So if you're looking for any of these, check my reading vlogs from this past month. Highly recommend picking this book up after Powerless, obviously, but nonetheless, this was amazing. And then I gave an author a second chance. If you watched my April wrap-up, I read No Exit by Taylor Adams, and I absolutely hated it. But Andrew picked this for my May TBR, and I read it, and I actually enjoyed it. I gave it, I think, a 3.5, maybe a 3. Thinking back, probably a 3. It was 10 times better than No Exit. I actually enjoyed this plot. It follows a female main character, and she basically writes a 1-star review about a book that she reads, and the author comments back basically being like, hey, take this down, like, I don't appreciate that, and she was like, no, that's my opinion. So basically follows that, and it is a thriller. She is on this like secluded kind of island type of thing, not like an island, but like it's like a beach setting type thing, mountain. Hard to explain, just look at the picture. But it basically follows her, and it's following one night. This person basically is like coming to kill her, and it's following all of those little steps, and she has a neighbor who's also there with her. They like never have spoken. They just do like whiteboard things across like the house. I don't know. But again, I don't like saying too much about thrillers because I like to go into them completely blind. I will say that this one, for me, in my experience, was a lot better than No Exit. It did not make me feel uncomfortable like No Exit did. I will say it was very, very, very predictable for me. I did guess the like ending basically at the start of the book, so that wasn't super fun, but the whole process of leading up to the end was very entertaining, and I wanted to pick it up, so I had a lot of fun with this. Definitely predictable. I do think that I will try Taylor Adams again. I'm glad that I gave the author a second chance, because I can see that maybe the writing will get better. And then I went into another little novella. I read Killjoy by Holly Jackson, which is a prequel to the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, which I read back in 2022, and absolutely loved it. So this was just super fun to go back into that world with Pip and seeing what led up to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I would recommend reading this first because obviously it's a prequel and it just made sense. Like, if I had read this, I would have immediately wanted to jump into A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So I had a lot of fun with this. I gave it a 3 stars. It's basically following Pip at a friend's murder mystery party, and they're like trying to solve like a fake little murder that it was set up. So it was just a fun little plot. The characters were fun to follow, so I had a lot of fun with this. Had a lot of fun. How many times am I going to say fun in this video? But I gave this a 3 stars as well. Holly Jackson's writing is so easy to follow, so highly recommend picking up some of her books. I am very interested to pick up 5 Survive and the reappearance of Rachel Price by this author, so gave this a 3 star, really enjoyed it. Continuing on, we have A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and I'm so happy that I picked this up because it has been on my TBR for a little bit. I didn't love this book, honestly. It felt a bit dragged on, a bit long. I can't even like really tell you what this was about. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It was just really dragged out. The beginning was so slow that I had to pick it up on audio. But I really enjoyed the ending. So that's what made it a 3 stars. If it wasn't for the ending, it wouldn't have been a 3 star, but it follows Harper and Ren. Ren has a curse put on him and his kingdom, and like Beauty and the Beast, he needs to whatever, fall in love or blah, blah, blah. And I felt like this could have been really good if it was maybe like honestly 200 pages shorter. I'm not gonna lie, there was just a lot of excess information and repetitive aspects to this book, but I am, however, picking up the second book in this series because I do think that maybe this is one of those series that the first book is like okay and then it just keeps getting better. So I think it's just a trilogy, but I am really interested about the character that the second book is about, so I'm definitely gonna pick that up. I enjoyed this on audio. I thought it was fun to listen to, and I really did feel immersed in the world when I was listening to it, but again, it was just a bit slow, bit dragged out. I will keep you all updated if the second book is any better, but I don't think I would recommend picking up this book, honestly. I don't think I would. I gave it a 3 stars. It was okay. Maybe more of a 2.5. There wasn't anything wrong with it. Like, the writing was fine. It just, like, wasn't hitting for me. But nonetheless, I read this. Gave it a 3 star. Very light 3 star. And then, funny story by Emily Henry. I loved this book. I gave it a 5 stars, obviously, immediately. I just was so in love with both of these characters. Daphne and Miles are some of my favorite characters that I think Emily Henry's written. I really related to Daphne in so many aspects. It was incredible to read. Miles was just such a likable character, and I think that he had so many great qualities. And I really, really, really like that Emily Henry has more literary fiction in her novels. Like, it's not just a romance, but it's also like characters trying to figure out their lives, trying to understand what they've been through and growing from it. So this was just amazing. It basically is following Miles and Daphne, and their significant others leave them for their significant others, if that makes any sense. I'm sure if you've read the synopsis, you know, or if you've read this book, it's been out for, I think, over a month now, so definitely more people have read this, but it was so good. I love Emily Henry. If you haven't picked up Emily Henry, this is your sign. And then I randomly picked up The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. And this was interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, I'm not gonna tell you anything about the story because I went in completely blind and I had a fun time with it. I gave it a 3. There's a lot of 3 stars this month, but it follows Sarah. There's a bit of unreliable narrator, lots of secrets, lies, twists, turns. It was just a fun thriller. I think that I'll definitely pick up whatever this author puts out next. I think this was her debut novel, if I'm not mistaken. I had a lot of fun with it. Very interesting concept. Didn't love the ending. I wish that there was maybe a little bit of a different end to the story, but nonetheless, I enjoyed this. I feel like this is just a hard book to explain, period, but she's basically an influencer, socialite, but also a therapist. So you follow her and her story, and it's really entertaining. Had a good time with it. Super short. And then the one with the past and present timeline is Only If You're Lucky by Stacey Willingham. This is the 3rd book that I've read by this author, and I can definitely tell that her writing gets better with each book. This is another thriller. How many thrillers did I read this month? But this was really fun. It's a college setting, frat, boys, bonfires, murders, and that's all I gotta say. But this was really fun. It follows, what's her face? It follows Margot, and Lucy is the one that, like, brings her into the friend group. So it's following 4 friends basically, but Margot being the main character, and she comes to college with, like, wanting a new start basically, and she has some secrets of her own. That one was a 3.5. I definitely enjoyed it. I think the ending was wrapped up really nicely. And yeah, I had a good time with it. I thought that something else was going to happen, and I was wrong, but I feel like what I thought was going to happen would have made the book a little bit better. Nonetheless, still enjoyed it. Had a good time with it. And then Empire of Storms. This book, you guys, 5 stars. 5 stars. I loved this book. It was so good. The way Sarah J. Maas encompassed everything into this book was amazing and so well done. I loved this whole story, all of the characters that we were following. It was amazing. Highly recommend picking up the Throne of Glass series. This is definitely my favorite book from the series so far. Obviously can't say much. What book is this? Book 6? This is book 6 of 8. So there's nothing I can say to you about this plotline or story, but just know that you should pick this up and you'll have a lot of fun with it. And then I finished Tower of Dawn too, literally last night, May 29th. But I finished it and I loved it. I gave this a 4 stars. Wasn't nearly as good as Empire of Storms. A little bit more slow, but with good reasoning. I liked the characters that this followed as well. I had a lot of fun with them. It was very interesting to see the storylines in this one compared to the storylines in Empire of Storms. This is definitely more of a romance, which I feel like is why people typically don't like this one as much as they do the rest of the series. I will say I'm very, very glad that I did not tandem read. I had a good experience with both of the books separately. If I was to ever do a reread, then maybe I would try and do a tandem read. This was really good, really fun. Loved the characters, loved the plot line, had a lot of fun with it, gave it 4 stars. And that is all I have to say about that without spoiling literally anything. Those are all of the books that I read in May. Let me know if you've read any of these or if you are planning to read any of these. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on these books. So I will see you all in the next one, probably a reading vlog. Yeah, ooh, or maybe a book shopping vlog. We'll never know. I'll see you then.